It is the Krisha and Frank show, and no one is happier than me.
Really?
That you came back.
Oh, yeah. Of course I came back.
You were toying with me.
I took my estrogen. I'm fine.
You were toying with me at the end of yesterday's episode.
I was. You mentioned me being perimenopausal.
Is that the right word?
Premenopausal? I don't know. I'm not.
Our friend Leanne Morgan had so much great material on that.
I know, y'all. Listen.
And I know that she's at least 10 years older than you, at least.
Yeah, my mom, although my mom went through menopause. Now I'm talking like Leanne Morgan. Sweetie.
I love her so much.
She's so funny. My mom went through menopause at a very early age. But my mom had also had a radical hysterectomy after she had my brother, so that tends to make things go faster.
Okay, all right.
But no, I'm just me.
Yeah, well, you cracked me up. It was very funny. So it is the Krisha and Frank show. We're on YouTube. We are trying so hard to get to that 1,000 subscriber level on YouTube.
We got a ways to go.
But we're making progress.
Yeah.
You know, I've got friends and family members who have been clicking and signing up. You know,
I don't have any friends, and my family doesn't like me. I mean, facts is facts.
They don't have to watch. I mean, some of my family, I've just said, you know, I sent an email to the family saying, if you could just subscribe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really, frankly, don't care if you watch it or not. And one of my relatives criticized me and said, don't put that in there. Don't mention that part.
Don't
mention that you got fired from your other job. I'm like, well, I was going for the sympathy.
Right.
See, because if I get to 1,000 subscribers, we monetize the channel, and I'll get literally pennies.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, that's the facts, and I don't think that you should diminish what is going on in your life.
Yeah.
For other people.
Yeah. So it's that's the nuts and bolts of it. Is we've got to get to 1,000, and then we'll work our way up from there. You know, if those fine folks in the Smokies can have 40,000 subscribers,
we'll be okay.
We can certainly get 1,000, and then
we'll get there.
Higher up. Now, one of the things that has been successful is the interaction. We're getting emails and comments, and
we have so many people reaching out and commenting and
sharing our YouTube link on Facebook.
Yeah. And screenshotting our show and joking about, but we also...
Well, you got a nice message from Bruce about the Sharps Ridge episode.
I did.
That was awesome.
He enjoyed my turkey.
Who wouldn't? I watched it multiple times myself.
I enjoyed the sound effects. You've gotten a little out of control with the sound effects, but
I have slowed down on that. It was just though we did these episodes out at Sharps Ridge, and there was a lot of bad. Well, we before we really started, we were joking around, and dropped the S-bomb.
Yeah.
And Krisha said, "Can you bleep that?" Because I wasn't even going to start the episode there. I was going to wait and do it after.
We were just being silly.
So I was just being silly to see if I could learn, and how to do this. Because it's like my friend Bean over in England is also trying to learn iMovie
at the same time.
Because he has always had a staff of producers. He is now all of a sudden he's doing a podcast with Allie, who's in Los Angeles, and he's in London, and the two of them are trying to do it, and it's a 2-person show. So all of these things, he's actually got a much steeper learning curve than I do.
Yeah, he's trying to do it without having someone in person.
And without having, in his entire 30-year career at K-Rock, just being the superstar DJ and having a staff to do all of the production.
Yeah, look at that.
Right? So anyway, he had a big problem with iMovie, and I caught that.
Not so high on the horse, are you?
So I'm teaching myself similar, so I can relate.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, I found those sound effects, and then when I jumped off the railing, not only did the camera shake, but the sound, that was complete distortion. It sounded... Yes, I'll have to find the original file because it just goes to and it's all redlined. The audio just goes talkie, 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 and then this red line of noise like a train has run through. And I thought, you can't. How am I gonna mute that? So I replaced. So I was gonna cut that audio out anyway, and then I replaced it with this glissando of me gently floating down to the ground.
So we'd mentioned the interaction has been great, and we have our PayPal.
Yes, it's our Gmail address,
right?
And you just PayPal us money. We want to thank Tanya Cinnamon for PayPaling us money, but with a challenge.
With a challenge, because we have talked about in several episodes my granny, who is 93, drinks buttermilk and eats Little Debbie cakes.
Is that a granny thing? Because my grandma, who's been dead for quite a while,
I'm sorry,
was the only other person I've ever known who drank buttermilk.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, my granny
I
grew
had
up
two grandmas, but I'm talking about my dad's mom would
Right.
drink buttermilk, and I thought, who? Why?
I don't know if it's a generational thing or I don't know where your grandma was from, but my granny grew up in Jefferson City, Tennessee, with a coal miner dad.
Yeah.
And he became like a handyman in Jefferson City. My granny tells this story that they had the only phone in like a 3-mile radius because he worked for the pharmacist in town. And the pharmacist,
Well, Mr. Gower?
I don't have no idea. The pharmacist put a phone in their house so that he could get, yeah, I don't know that one.
Mr. Gower, you gave the wrong pills!
What's that from?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
Anyway, so yeah, somebody worked for the pharmacist.
I like that movie. I just don't know that. I'm not really good at movie quotes.
Okay.
Anyway,
Sorry.
but he put a phone in my granny's house so that he could reach my
Yeah,
great granddad
of course.
when he needed him. And my granny talked about it being what she called a party line.
Yeah.
So when you pick up the phone, if Erlene
Is
3
talking.
miles away was talking, you'd pick up on their conversation, and you'd have to like do a little like a certain click to let them know you needed a line.
Uh-huh.
And you didn't say anything; you just did a little click, click, click. And I think that's so fascinating to me.
Yes.
But that's my granny, Mary Mac Bohannon.
She could have spoken and said, I need the line, but
Hey.
you don't want to let on to the other third party who's not in your little party line.
Oh, but
you're
can you
telling
imagine?
your neighbor without telling who they're talking to.
Can you imagine though?
That was a thing on many shows. It was a plot device
Yeah.
on many different TV shows about a party line, and even being an urban person. My grandma, both my grandmas are from the Bronx. My mom's mom, and they bought a country house, a cottage, way out on the end of Long Island, and that house had a party line well into the 1970s.
Wow.
You know?
Everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah, but you hardly use the phone, because it was just
Right.
it was a summer cottage, but you had to have a phone, so it was cheaper just to get the party line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tanya Cinnamon sent some money via PayPal for buttermilk, but she added to it because
The challenge was, I said on the show, send us money and we'll make Krisha drink buttermilk.
Right.
So I bought some buttermilk. Thank you, Tanya, for the money.
This looks cultured whole butter. It's whole milk.
They had a low-fat buttermilk, which would have come in a smaller container, but
Yeah.
I thought that seemed counterintuitive. I think I needed the full strength to get the experience.
It's got locust bean gum,
Oh, the
What
old
is
LBG.
cultured milk,
Locust
salt,
bean gum.
modified cornstarch, tapioca starch, sodium citrate, locust bean gum,
Okay, I didn't read all this.
and carrageenan.
You know what?
Carragenan.
You know what? Is the low-fat buttermilk had high fructose corn syrup or something in it as a
Interesting.
thickener? So with this, I'm
This
guessing.
has modified cornstarch.
Did I say starch? I meant syrup.
Yeah.
But so what they've done then is, instead of making actual buttermilk, is they've made a buttermilk-like product
Right.
by adding gum as a thickener.
Locust bean gum. What is
Yeah.
locust bean gum?
Cultured milk, salt, cornstarch. I see what you're talking
Or
about.
carob bean gum is a vegetable-based thickener and stabilizer derived from the seeds of carob trees that grow in the Mediterranean. It's found in ice cream, yogurt, and cheese.
Okay, that would explain why the expiration date is so far off.
And then the very next thing is, can locust bean gum cause diarrhea? This is gonna be great. Let's get to drinking it.
Well, we also.
But yeah, Tanya added something else to just drinking buttermilk.
Should I have heated this up?
Nah.
Because I kept it in the fridge
fine.
to keep it. Let's see if there's any locust bean gum.
Oh God, I can't.
There's emulsifier in this. There's xanthan gum. Xanthan gum.
Oh, do you want to give it a sniff?
Boy, is it bad?
It
My
smells
memory,
like buttermilk.
my memory of buttermilk from my grandma drinking it in New York is horrific.
Is
It smells like it's gone bad.
right, because that's what buttermilk is.
Is bad milk?
It's bad milk.
Look at the date on it.
It's November 17th. It just smells like, look at how thick this is.
I don't know what day I'm showing this.
Look at how thick.
Oh.
Oh, it's like drinking bad melted ice cream. But this is what my granny drinks glasses of this.
I need to figure out what episode of Batman it was. I should have Googled it before.
But I've used buttermilk to make cornbread my whole life. What's the cornmeal that just came back recently? Like it went out of business for a long time.
Oh.
In the brown package. Anyway, you take that cornmeal, some eggs, some buttermilk, get that bad boy going. Oh, okay. Are we doing this?
Oh, it was a King Tut episode. Yeah, King Tut was poisoning the water supply. Batman was protected from the elixir by drinking lots of buttermilk.
So Tanya suggested that we crumble cornbread up into the buttermilk.
Okay. Well, I think, is that how you... No, Jerry Googled what do you do with cornbread. Tanya's instructions were, here's money for cornbread and buttermilk. Make her eat it that way.
Okay.
So Jerry Googled it and sent it to us that you crumble it. And I got a bowl if you want that.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I'm just prepping my mouth for...
Oops, sorry. All right. So here's some butter. Here's some
But
cornbread.
we're just going to take sips of this, right? Because this is Granny Bohannon. Cheers. Oh, and it's bad luck to cheers without making eye contact. The whole point in cheersing...
Yes.
Emily Newport and I have this...
you didn't make eye contact.
We joke about... Well, I'm right. But the whole joke is when you're cheersing, you're actually commemorating the moment. You're saying, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm
but
fine.
What everybody does is they stare at the glasses.
Right, because I don't want to break... These are...
We've already talked about this. Precious glasses.
Not on the show yet.
Right,
but these are fig jam glasses from Cracker Barrel, and they stopped selling them.
Okay.
And I've only got 2 left because I've broken so many of them just while washing them.
But here we go.
Oh jeez.
Oh, that's just my... Oh, that is unpleasant. It's kind of like yogurt.
Yeah, I mean, all right. If I think of it that way,
it's yogurt.
You could just dump the.
I'm having a little.
Just put the bread in here.
We do it.
I don't know. I brought you a spoon. I brought you a fork.
Yeah,
I brought you a knife.
Thank you, Tanya.
Am I supposed to hold this up to the camera so you, like in all of our other eating episodes?
I don't
think I can reach.
I don't like it.
Well, we didn't pay for it. We got it for free. Thank you, Tanya.
It doesn't make it taste any better.
Well, it makes the cornbread taste worse, but it makes the buttermilk taste better.
I don't like
cornbread it's got a lot of sweetness in it. If I had to finish this, which I won't, I would totally soak it up in as much, cornbread as possible. So, is there another weird thing that we should make Krisha try on the show?
What is that? This isn't Fear Factor.
I forgot about that show.
I worked on that show at Universal Studios.
Oh, I meant like the actual TV show with Joe Rogan.
I did, for a minute. Which reminds me, weird things.
No. You
like weird things.
I do.
Yeah?
And I'm assuming that buttermilk builds strong bones.
Which you're going to need.
When you...
that is something.
Bonezones.com, don't forget the S, is the official website for Dr. Bill Bass. I have a Facebook page that used to be a campaign to get Dr. Bass on a postage stamp.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, that campaign kind of petered out, so I just changed it to a regular Dr. Bass Facebook page. Well, people think that Dr. Bass is on Facebook, so I'm always writing and saying, well, actually, I'm just the MC. Bonezones.com. Don't forget the S, is where you can find out all about if Dr. Bass ever has another public speaking appearance anytime in the next year or so, whenever finally we get around to doing that again. So in the meanwhile, you can buy the amazing merchandise, like the t-shirts and the hats, the challenge coins.
And the books.
All the different Jefferson Bass books, and all of the nonfiction, the 2 nonfiction, that I think it makes up to about 10 altogether.
Yeah. They're all so good. They're so good. And I actually read the Jefferson Bass books before you and I knew each other. We may have known each other, but before it
Yeah.
became a thing
Yeah.
that you and I had.
Well, I
Yeah.
was, figuring out my history with all of that, and it really just came from, I started by doing radio interviews with the
Yeah.
authors when these books were coming out, and they always complimented me because of all the interviews they would do, and if you are one of the local TV anchors who regularly interviews Dr. Bass, please fast forward past this insult. Of all the interviews, I'm the only one who ever read the book, so I was the only one asking any kind of relevant questions. All the other interviews, they would just rehash the same old stories.
Yeah.
How did you start the body farm? Well, I was doing, 200, 300 level work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I actually read the book. They're so good.
Well, not to bonezones.com. Don't forget the S. Check it out. You'll love it. Not to belabor the point, but when I did radio interviews for like the CMA Awards,
Yeah.
ACM Awards, one thing that I lived by in interviewing people was I knew their single, and I would get.
By that you mean
I knew what single that they had out on the radio.
their record.
What they were
Yes.
there to promote.
Not
I
that they
knew
are
that.
unmarried, but
Right.
that, yeah.
They would give you a sheet of paper. They would send you this thing that would tell you they're promoting this or don't mention this.
Yeah.
My job was to make sure that they got to talk about it,
Yes.
not to bring it up.
See, and that's the difference between being an improviser and being a insecure radio DJ.
Right, and there's a lot of them, and they get really annoyed with you when you start talking about something that you have looked up and you realize that this artist may be interested in or may have done
Yeah.
recently.
If you ever want to listen to a radio interview ever, and you happen to be driving along, just for fun, look up Wikipedia and see, or IMDb, and see if that DJ has done nothing more than read the first few credits, because this is what comedians and actors can't stand, is the DJ goes through and just starts at the top, which are the oldest IMDb credits.
Yeah.
And they don't know, because they don't know what to say. The questions are
So
always,
you grew up in Kentucky.
how did you get started in the business?
How'd you get started in the business? Tell us about your single. You got a new single coming out? If you listen to any interview or if you watch any interview...
You'd be lucky if they say, tell us about your single. Usually it's a yes-no question.
Oh.
That's like...
So you have a new single coming out.
Yeah. So this song is about dogs, right?
You're
Yeah.
opening a new restaurant in Gatlinburg.
Yep. That's
Cool.
right.
Make statements. Anyway, don't get me on a tangent.
But yeah, that's the art of interviewing. It's so much fun.
But I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying I'm good at talking to people
And listening.
and just enjoying people. I would like get into actual conversations
Yeah.
with people I didn't know. You don't know. Famous people are still just normal human beings who
Well,
go doo-doo. Like,
bet-
it's the same people.
You see, when you prepare for an interview, you have a list. You might have a list of questions that sometimes especially if it's like a dry topic, the public relations firm will send you. Here's a list of questions to ask the doctor about that disease, and they might actually, want you to do it in order, which is not good. But there's a many number of ways you can prepare. Okay, so many of the DJs, and even Jay Leno was a terrible interviewer.
David Letterman never watched the movie, never read the book, like was notorious for never doing any
But
research.
he was better than Leno, where they would stand behind Leno with a card, and if I'm Leno and you're being interviewed, he's not even looking at you; he's looking at the card behind you, and waiting for you to stop talking so he can read the card.
Yeah.
With the next question.
It's terrible.
And you're in the audience, you can see this. It's I would go to the audience. I'm like, why? This is awful. Whereas, not again to belabor the point or not to boast, what I would do is I would absorb as much of the material as I could, but then it's all in there like mashed potatoes, and I don't have an order to it. It's
Same.
just in there.
It's
okay?
there. It's in
so
your brain.
then the celebrity says something, anything.
Don't trigger
They're
me with mashed
telling
potatoes
a
again.
story. It was sweet potatoes. I'm
Okay,
almost
good.
positive.
Yeah.
It might have even been yams with marshmallows on top.
Sounds good.
So, but then they say something, and you're like, oh, and you pull something out of that pile,
Yeah.
and you ask about it, and they look at you like,
That's
that's never happened to me in an interview before, because this person has connected two different things that are
Yeah.
obviously related.
Yeah, and
They melt down. They love it so much.
it really is. And I, when I would prepare to go to the ACMs or CMAs and interview people, or like the CMA week,
Yeah.
You're like, there's no way you can prepare. They send you a zip file with 200 artists that you may or may not see. Oof. And here are the copy points for each individual one. Do you know what I did?
What?
Never opened the damn thing.
Yeah,
Never.
You can do your own research in a different way.
Never. And what I would do is I would plug it into the computer the day of the interviews, and they're like, okay, because you don't even know who's coming and who, and they'll be like, okay, you've got Garth Brooks coming up next, and you've got 2 minutes.
And then some unknown right after that,
But then 3 other people, because Garth has been delayed, 3 other people who you have no idea who they are are sliding in. And then you've got Ricky Skaggs and Ray Stevens, for the love of the Lord, who comes in there and gets a little grab handy, and somehow you've got to navigate all of that. Ray Stevens? Oh, Lord have mercy.
Cabaret?
I mean, come on.
I'm not surprised.
Come on. It's Ray Stevens.
The
they call him the Streak. He gets, you get a little, when you hug a woman, if your hand lands right here,
oh, that's too close.
I'm going to call you grab handy.
That's too close.
Bret Michaels, I'm looking at you.
Do not, oh no.
In fact, I'm going to give you a picture right here.
There she does it again, the I Dream of Jeannie pose.
That's some Bret Michaels.
Oh, okay.
It's
grab handy.
I
a couple of years ago started doing the Keanu Reeves thing in photos, where his hands are always visible.
I call it the Disney.
Oh.
When you work at Disney when you are friends with any character, your both hands always have to be visible
in the picture.
And so you'll see, if you look at any picture, people with it, you'll see princesses with both hands here.
Yeah.
You'll see like characters that are like this.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I started doing that, just keeping my hands in front in the neutral pose, because this, first of all, it looks terrible when you're being photographed and you're trying to wrap your hands around everybody like a condor. Mm-hmm. It looks bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay, that's grab handy. I'll tell you one quick before we wrap this episode. I'm going to give you a tiny anecdote about the press tours.
Yes.
It was at the MTV Video Music Awards. Mm-hmm. That year it happened to be in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure Nirvana performed on that show. It was at the UCLA campus. Well, anyway, so we're in the press tour maybe the day before, the afternoon before. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing all these famous stars by. And my friend Rodney Lee Conover, who is a comedian, and I are working on a rap station, a hip-hop station called Power 106. Nice. There's really very little, none of the hip-hop artists are coming.
Yeah.
But so we get to talk to comedian Bill Hicks, who is genius, and that was like mind-blowing that we got to talk to Bill Hicks. Well, anyway, then they bring over Lindsey Buckingham.
I love Lindsey.
Everyone loves Lindsey Buckingham, but we decided to be jerks because we only would talk to him about the song Holiday Road from National Lampoon's Vacation.
That's amazing.
We love that song so much. So if you're
the only thing.
Well, you only get a few minutes, so we figured we better get right to the meat.
So tell us about Holiday. About writing that. Was Chevy involved?
Why is that song so awesome?
Were you inspired by anything particular? What in your background inspired you?
Right.
And exactly, is there a specific road where you holidayed?
Yeah. I need to get Rodney Lee Conover to start watching this show.
Is there traffic on Holiday Road? If there's traffic on Holiday Road, what does it look like?
I miss Rodney Lee Conover. We used to go. He and Ted Bigballs Ramsey used to do.
Bigballs Ramsey? What'd you just say?
That was his name.
Okay.
They would go.
I hate radio so.
No, he was a comedian. Okay. He was a stand-up comic, and he.
I mean, they're the same thing.
And he had the prop, I suppose. Oh. But we drove up to the Cask and Cleaver in Bakersfield so that I could watch Ted open for Rodney doing stand-up at a... Okay. There's so much. There's so much I haven't told you.
There's just so... Like, when you just start naming, like, you can't have a normal conversation if you've ever worked in radio and or comedy.
Yeah.
Tom Segura has one of my favorite jokes ever talking about the show First 48. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about when you're watching the show First 48...
The first 48 hours of emergency response.
Yeah, the interrogators refuse to not use the street names of people. And his joke is saying, they're sitting there in this room and they're like, did you or did you not know Dookie Shoes? And it just made me think time you're sitting in an important meeting where people are being super serious and everybody's talking about the budget and they're like, Squirtle and Bucketknob? Tell us about your station. And it's supposed to be real. It's your real life as you're sitting in a room with somebody named Squirtle and Bucketknob.
Yeah, because that's their radio names, and that's what everybody calls them.
We got to get out of here.
All right.
I can't even handle myself.
So, thank you. You don't have to listen to radio anymore. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Spotify. I signed up for Spotify, and I got our subscribe.
It's AAA and SOAS over here.
So you can listen to us every morning on those things, or you can watch the YouTubes like Bruce does for lunch. And please subscribe. Help us get to 1,000.
Pancake and yam.
In the morning.
Whoopee.
So all you got to do is we wrap the episode and sit still quietly.
Oh, guys.
I guess we can make noise. Is to please hit the subscribe button and maybe watch the suggested episode.
I'm tired.
It's the Krisha and Frank Show.